Hello everyone, my name is Curtis. Today I'm going to review Beyond the Gates, Season 2, Episode 7. This episode focused on 5 storylines. So the first storyline, of course, was Danny dealing with the fact that she tested positive for the variant. We also saw how everybody around her dealt with the fact that she tested positive for the variant. We saw how Haley is so jealous of Danny and her daughters when it comes to Bill. We saw Ted and Carlton finally had their conversation when it came to Nicole. And then also we saw how Bill was overstepped and almost got his ass whooped by Andre. Overall, I felt like this was a really good episode. I was really happy that Ted and Carlton had their conversation. I was upset with Danny when it came to Bill and when it came to Andre because, in my opinion, she was doing a little too much. I understand she's going through what she's going through, but she kind of caused the situation that happened at the end. Like, come on now. You hugging them, crying in his arms when it comes to Bill. Like, come on now. Don't do that, Danny. And now that I got the general overview of the episode out of the way, I'm going to start the full review. The episode begins with Chelsea walking into the living room. When she walks into the living room, she notices that Naomi is in there on her phone. So Naomi tells her that she's actually trying to schedule an appointment so she can get some blood work done so she can figure out if she has the variant or not. So when it comes to Chelsea, she does not look too pleased with this. But Naomi tells her like she needs to get this done. Like she needs to try to figure out if she has the variant or not because she can't sit around worried about if she has it. That's just going to cause too much stress. And so as they are having this conversation, we see Kat, she does come into the living room. She has some tea, but Chelsea says that she cannot drink any tea right now because she's still trying to process what's going on with her mom. It's during this time that Naomi realizes that she's having trouble connecting to the internet. She asks Kat if the internet service is good. She's like, yeah, I was just on Instagram. She's like, I cannot connect. So she's like, I'm going to go into another room. And so when she goes into the other room, Kat and Chelsea can start to have a conversation. And Kat tells Chelsea not to worry about Naomi. She's just nervous. She says that she's not worried about her. She's just worried about her mom. After this, we see Danny, we see Nicole. They're having a conversation about the time that Nicole fell off of a horse. And so after she fell off of a horse, she had to go to the hospital, of course, and she ended up getting a cast. And so once she got home, Danny started crying and she was crying for 3 days. Nicole was trying to figure out, like, why is she crying? I'm the one who got hurt. Well, Danny says that she was jealous of the fact that she had a cast and she did not. Because remember, they are kids, right? And so what Nicole did was she made a fake cast for Danny. So she used cardboard, some duct tape to make a fake cast for her. So that way she could feel included. And so she says that she wishes that she can do something similar now. So that way she can feel better. In the next scene, we see Ted, we see Andre. Ted asks Andre, how's he doing? He says, I'm doing pretty good. And he's like, wait, today's the big day, right? Ted was like, yes, today's the day that we find out the results. And so Andre was like, how's Nicole doing? He was like, Nicole's doing pretty good. But then it's like, really, how are you doing? He says, well, considering the fact that I am not going to have the variant, I'm doing pretty good. And then he says, when it comes to Danny, I'm trying to keep my spirits up, but deep down inside, I am terrified for her. And then Ted says, what, he wishes that he could be by Nicole's side in this moment, but unfortunately, it's not his place anymore. And so as they are talking, Andre actually looks around and he notices Carlton. So he's like, hey, Ted, heads up. After this, we see Tomas, we see Bill, we see Haley. They are sitting around having a conversation about an upcoming embezzlement case involving a lady named Lynette. And so as they are having a conversation, Bill starts thinking about Danny, he starts thinking about his daughters, like he is spacing out. And so Haley actually notices this, so she's trying to snap him back into reality. It does take him some time, but he does eventually come back into reality. And then Bill asks Tomas if he can repeat what he said. And of course, when it comes to Haley, she's just looking at him like, Back with Danny and Nicole, they are still talking. And Nicole lets Danny know that she is relieved about the fact that she does not have the variant and also that her kids are not going to have the variant. And then she says that she feels really selfish. Danny says you do not need to feel selfish. You're just being a mother. Like you want to make sure that you and your kids are good. Like I do not feel, any kind of way. But then Danny, she becomes very flustered. She starts to cry. She's like, what? I'm the person that people normally depend on. Like what am I going to do? And so Nicole's like, listen, at this time, you're going to depend on me. I'm the older sister. You're the little sister. You can just count on me. She's like, but I'm supposed to be everybody's rock. She's like, listen, I want to be your rock right now. It's okay. You can count on me. And then Danny falls into her arms and starts to cry. And I was like, oh. We then go back to Kat, Naomi, and Chelsea. And so Naomi does come back into the room and she says that she's going to go to the hospital to get everything scheduled because she's having issues doing it by the phone. So she's like, let me just go to the hospital to get it done. So Kat asks her if she wants one of them to go with her. She was like, no, I feel like I need to do this solo dolo. Besides, she needs to let her dad know that her mom tested positive. And so Chelsea says, you know what, I can actually call him and let him know what's going on. She says, thank you so much. Then she says, I love you. And she leaves. And then Kat says, you know what, I can actually call Bill. Chelsea's like, no, that's okay. I will give him a call. Back with Bill, Tomas, and Haley, Tomas asks Haley if he can see if Lynette received any type of incentives, were there any grudges held against her after she came forward. Haley was like, because you want to see if she's credible, right? He was like, no, we want to see if there was anything that the boss did to her. Remember, he is accusing her of embezzlement. We're not looking into Lynette. She's like, oh, yeah, right, that makes sense. Tomas then tells them that he is actually going to meet with Lynette the following day just to make sure her statement is cool, make sure all of the ducks are in a row. Then it's over at Bill, like, does that sound good? Does that sound like a solid plan? Bill was like, yeah, everything is cool. So Tomas was like, okay, great. So he ends up leaving. And then when it comes to Haley, she's like, what, are you okay? Is everything fine? You were spacing out. But as she is asking him these questions, Bill's phone ring and it's Chelsea. And so he's like, hey, what's going on? Is everything okay? She says, you know what, Dad? I need you. We then go back to Ted and Andre. So Ted thanks Andre for giving him a heads up when it comes to Carlton. And then Andre's like, can I say something positive about Carlton to you? He was like, sure, why not? Andre tells him that Carlton gave him good advice in regards to how to deal with the situation with Danny. And so Ted was like, he's very insightful. Like, I'm not really surprised. And so Andre was like, well, why don't you let him know that? Ted was like, because we're not friends anymore. We grew apart. Like, that's just what it is. Andre was just like, right. I have to remember you two have a very complicated relationship. Ted was like, complicated is not the word. Like, this man. And so Andre actually cut him off. He was like, I get it. He made a move on your ex-wife, but we need to put emphasis on the fact that that was your ex-wife. You two were completely separated. The divorce was finalized. He did not make the move until everything was done. Ted was like, that doesn't matter. That doesn't absolve him anything. There is no statute of limitations when it comes to dealing with your friend's ex-wife. Like, what are you talking about? Andre tells him that he should be happy that Nicole has someone in her life that truly cares about her and wants the best for her in regards to Carlton. And so Ted was like, when you put it like that, I guess. And then he says, you know what? Life is too short to hold on to grudges to people that you truly care about. Like, you need to try to make this right. And so Ted actually does walk over to the bar where Carlton is. And he says, you know what, bartender? I will have what he's having. Back with Nicole and Danny tells Nicole that she cannot sit around crying all day. Like, all of this whining, this moaning, all of this woe is me. Like, this is not going to work because she has daughters. Nicole tells her that she needs to sit down, relax, and process everything that's happening. But Danny's like, listen, my daughters, they are overthinkers. I know they are worried sick. Like, I need to get to them. Nicole's like, listen, they're going to be fine while you get yourself together. Don't worry about it. There's a quick scene after this where Kat has a conversation with Martin over the phone, and she's pretty much giving Martin an update as far as what's going on with the family and this diagnosis. And so she does ask Martin to give Chelsea his Martin Luther King speech. So she does actually hand Chelsea the phone. He is able to get her into a better mood. And then after that, Nicole actually does come in and she does give Chelsea a hug. We then go back to Bill and Haley, and y'all, Bill is frantic. He's like throwing everything across his desk. He's like, oh my God, where's my keys? Where's my keys? Haley's like, what's going on? He's like, where's my keys? I just saw my keys. She's like, just talk to me. Tell me what's wrong. He says, listen, I cannot tell you right now because my family need me right now. So, of course, this pisses her off, but she was able to find the keys. She's like, here they go. And he's like, what, thank you. I appreciate it. He takes it, then he leaves. There's a quick scene after this where Naomi finally makes it to the hospital. She ends up running into Ashley, and she asks Ashley if she can help her schedule a blood test for her and Chelsea because Danny tested positive for the variant. Back with Ted and Carlton, they are finally having a conversation, and so Ted says, you know what, it's getting pretty hard for the team to coordinate our schedules so we do not run into each other. He was just like, I knew you were doing that shit. And so Ted actually decides to pivot. He's like, when it comes to Andre, I want to thank you so much for giving him such good advice. He says, you know what, I'm just glad I can help in a time like this. And so then Ted brings up Andre's parents and the fact that they died on the plane crash. And then he says, when it comes to Andre, he is very cautious about who he lets in his life. So the fact that he's letting you in his life lets me know that you are a good person deep down inside. Carlton tells Ted that situations like this, it either breaks a person or it teaches them like what's most important in life. And so when it comes to Andre, he sees that the most important person in his life right now is Danny. He loves her. He doesn't want to lose somebody that he loves. So Ted was like, you know what? I know a thing or two about losing somebody that I love, but I guess I don't need to tell you that, right? In the next scene, we see Tomas. He goes into Bill's office where he's greeted by Haley. He was like, oh, hey, I was actually looking for Bill. But then he looks at his desk and he's like, oh, wait a minute. Like, there's something to go on. Like, what's happening? Like, it looks like a natural disaster here. And so Haley's like, we know he actually received a phone call. He had to leave. So I was like, oh, was it a family matter? She was like, you know what? I do not know. He did not tell me. I'm always the last person to find out. And so as they are having this conversation, Tomas actually received a text message from Kat saying that her mom tested negative for the variant. So he was just like, oh, thank God. Haley was like, is everything okay? He says, yeah, Kat just told me that her mom tested negative. So Haley was like, well, she tested negative, then that probably means that Danny tested positive based on Bill's reaction. And then she says, you know what, it really bothers me inside that Danny is always going to come first when it comes to my husband. Like, what is this about? And I was just like, you know what, in this particular situation, the fact that it can affect his daughters, yes, you are going to come second. I'm sorry. There was a fairly quick scene after this that involved Nicole, Chelsea, and Kat, in which Kat and Chelsea let Nicole know that an opportunity came up in which there was supposed to be somebody that was going to wear their bag at the Golden Globes, but unfortunately things fell through because they decided to go with a different outfit. And so Chelsea says that she should be super happy about this, but she can't be happy because she's thinking about her grandmother, she's thinking about everything that's going on, that she can't really get into it. And so when it comes to Nicole and Kat, they are able to give her words of encouragement. And then she is able to get into a better mood. And she's like, you know what, Kat, I do have some sketches. I want to show it to you. So the two of them do leave the room. And as they are leaving the room, we see Bill. He actually rushes into the house and he asks Nicole, where's Danny? Back with Naomi and Ashley, Ashley asks Naomi if she is aware that the hospital has a scheduled nap online. She says, yes, I'm aware of that, but it asks you so many verification questions that I just figured it would be quicker and easier for me to just do it with somebody here at the hospital. So Ashley was like, you know what, I will help you get this schedule, but I feel like before I do, you need to get some things out of your system, get some things off of your chest. Naomi tells her that she is fine. She was like, no, you are not fine. I can look at you. You look scared. You look nervous. She was like, listen, I'm not scared. I'm not nervous. I'm pissed because it seems like it's always something happening. Like there's always a disaster after another. Then she starts going down the list of some of the things that have happened. She was like, Haley came in, stole my father from my mom, caused him to get a divorce. My mom ended up shooting up a wedding. Chelsea got kidnapped. And now Anita has cancer. She was like, when it comes to this appointment, it seems like this is the only thing I can control. Please just help me schedule this. We then see Haley and Tamaz. Haley tells Tamaz that he probably feels like she is a horrible person for being jealous of Danny in this moment. He was like, no, I feel like your feelings are pretty valid. And then also when it comes to Bill, he feels like he is probably more concerned about his daughters than he is about Danny. And she says, you know what, Tamaz? Bill is lucky to have you in his life. And then when it comes to him probably being more supportive of his daughters, you were probably right about that. And then she thanks him for talking her off of an emotional ledge. Thomas ends up leaving the room, and then Haley starts to talk to herself, and then she's like, you know what, when I'm done with Bill, Danny will be crying over his casket. And I was like, excuse me? Back with Bill and Nicole, Nicole tells Bill that he needs to calm down, he needs to relax. He asks her how can he calm down and relax knowing that his daughters can potentially get cancer. Nicole says, listen, you were acting as if Danny is still your wife. Like, you were kind of overstepping in this moment. He was like, where's Danny? She was like, you know what? She's upstairs taking a bath. And so he actually rushes upstairs to see her. And so remember, she said that she's taking a bath. So was he going to run into the bathroom and see her naked? Like, what is wrong with him? But he does end up going upstairs. She's just kind of staring in the mirror. She sees him in the mirror. So she's like, okay, Bill. And so he actually rushes over to her side, hugs her, then says, you know what, I'm not going anywhere. And then she starts to cry. And then Nicole just looks on in the distance. I was like, Danny, this is not going to end good. There was a quick scene after this in which Naomi thanked Ashley for allowing her to vent. But then Naomi also says, you know, when it comes to getting everything scheduled, she does have to reach out to her primary physician. That can take weeks, and then when it comes to getting the results, that can take weeks as well. And so she's hoping that Ashley can help speed up the process. Ashley says, you know what, let me see if I can pull some strings to get this done quicker. We then go back to Ted and Carlton. Carlton tells Ted that he's pretty sure that he feels like he betrayed him. He says, you know what, I felt like that in the past. So Carlton was like, wait a minute, is this a plot and a scheme that Todd set up? Like, what is going on here? And so he's like, no, it's not a plot, it's not a scheme, everything is good. And then Carlton says, you know what, I should have had a conversation with you before I made a move. And Ted's like, you know what, it's cool. I do not have any claims to her anymore, so it's all fine. He does say, though, that it does burn him deep down inside to see them together. But he is glad that she does have somebody that can cherish her and offer her emotional support during this moment. There was another quick scene after this in which Andre does make it home where he is greeted by Nicole. Nicole does let him know that unfortunately Danny did test positive for the variant, but she does remind him that this is not a death sentence. She does not have cancer. She just tested positive. And so when it comes to Andre, he's like, you know what? It doesn't matter because when it comes to this journey, we are on it together and I'm going to be here for her no matter what. And so Nicole's like, oh, that sounds good. Thank you for saying that. And so then he's like, well, speaking of Danny, like, where is she? She was like, oh, Danny is upstairs. So he's like, okay, well, let me go up. But then she stops him and she's like, she's upstairs with Bill. Speaking of Danny and Bill, we see them having a conversation. Danny tells Bill that he should not be there. He was like, well, where else would I be during a time like this? She was like, you should be with our daughters. And then she says, you know what, this is not your role anymore. He was like, but why does it feel so natural as if it still is? She was like, you know what, you were like an old shoe. He was like, an old shoe? She says, yes, you were something that is comfortable that I'm able to slip in during a crisis. And so the two of them, they continue to talk, and he says, you know, when it comes to this diagnosis, this is nothing more than just a bump in the road, that she's going to be fine. Then he calls her beautiful, and then she ends up hugging him, and then Andre comes in and sees them hugging. We then go back to Ted and Carlton. Ted asks Carlton if he can give him some advice. Carlton was like, sure. He says, you know, when it comes to the situation with Nicole, please play it smarter than he did. He says that Nicole is going to need somebody to lean on during this time. And then he says, you know, when it comes to Nicole, she's going to act as if she is so strong, she can handle this on her own, but she can't. So Carlton was like, well, what do I need to look out for? He tells him to pay attention to the professionalism and the psychiatric resolve that she's going to have once she realizes that there's a chance that she may lose somebody that she loves. So Carlton actually asks Ted, like, are you really cool with me being with her, like being the person that she leans on? He says, you know what, I am, because I feel like you were going to treat her right. And so Carlton, he does get up. He says, you know what, I'm going to leave. But before I do, I just want to let you know, if you ever need to talk to somebody, I'm here for you. There's another quick scene after this that involves Ashley and Naomi. So remember, Naomi asks Ashley if she can try to help her speed up this process when it comes to the blood work. So Ashley does reach out to Grayson. Grayson says, you know what, I will help you out if you go on a coffee date with me, and which she does agree. Back with Andre, Danny, and Bill. Andre does rush into the room. He does hug Danny. He's like, you know what, I'm so sorry that I wasn't here when you got your results. Bill was like, you know what, that's okay, because I was actually here for Danny. I actually gave her a shoulder to cry on while you were not here. You know, while you were not answering the phone and while you were out and about. I was actually here supporting your wife. And then he says, you know, when it comes to your wife, you know, she's actually stronger than you think. He was like, first of all, don't tell me anything about my wife. I don't need you to tell me shit about her. I know how strong she is. Bill was like, all right, little bitch, I'm not even about to go there with you. I'm about to go check on my daughters. Danny was like, you know what, I feel like that would be the best thing to do because they definitely need you right now. And so he actually tells Danny in front of Andre, like, you know what, if you ever need me, just give me a call. I will be there for you day and night. And so Andre was like, you know what, I'm sick of this shit. Let me just walk you out real quick. There was a quick scene after this in which Tomas overheard Haley plotting on Bill and Danny. Back with Andre and Bill, Bill lets Andre know that he does not need an escort when it comes to going around the house. He's fairly familiar with it. He said, remember, I used to own it. And so Andre was like, you know what, I feel like we need to have a man-to-man conversation real quick. You know, what happened earlier in that bedroom, I'm going to let it slide because, you know, Danny, she's vulnerable. She's going through a lot of emotions. So I'm just going to let that go. But let me tell you something. If I ever catch you in my bedroom offering my wife support, it's going to be a fucking problem. Bill tells Andre that he is always going to be there for Danny. And then he also says when it comes to approval, he doesn't need his approval for shit. He's going to do whatever the fuck he wants to do. And so Andre was like, you know what's funny to me is you're talking about being here for Danny, but when you had the opportunity to do so during your marriage, you decided to seduce your daughter's best friend and decided to marry your mistress. So at this point, I feel like Danny's not a concern to you anymore. Bill was like, you know what, I don't have time for this shit. I'm about to go check on my daughters. Andre was like, you know what, do that. And I need you to remember, your daughters need you, not Danny. And that was the end of the episode. Thank you all so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you could, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. That would be great. Hope you all have a great rest of your day. Take care.